Welcome to my video about my 1993 Land Rover Defender 200 TDI 90 for sale. I fully appreciate how difficult it is to buy one of these. This is the second one that I've had. First one was a bit of a disaster with corrosion. So I thought I'd make a very comprehensive video to avoid people having wasted trips. I looked at quite a few myself before I bought these, and they always looked really nice in the photos and just not good when I got close up and started poking around and getting underneath and things like that. So the story with this vehicle, so I have owned this for just over a year, and this was fully restored, and by fully restored I mean new chassis, Richards chassis, new bulkhead, nut and bolt restoration, and this was done by the previous owner around 8 years ago now. Since then he barely used it, and when I bought it just over a year ago from a dealer, it had done around 1,800 miles since the restoration. I have now done, I think, just 5,300 since the restoration. It is in daily use, and as I say, I was attracted to this one because it was fully nut and bolt restored. Now, that being said, it's not still totally immaculate, because, you know, it has been eight to 9 years since that was done, and it also has been, you know, it's done 5,500 miles. So there are a few bits, minor bits, that I'm going to point out to you in this video. But the vehicle is stored in the garage, but it is used every day, and you know, I bought this as a Land Rover enthusiast, second one I've had. We've always had them in the family, and I'm now looking to sell it to fund this thing. House extension, unfortunately, is going to take every penny that I've got. So let me show you a few things. So, you know, Richards galvanized chassis, says RC on it somewhere, if I can find the right bit, but you know, you'll see, yeah, there we go, RC. Yeah, completely galvanized, brand new chassis, and everything is immaculate underneath. You'll see it's got terra firma springs. It is a 2-inch lift, but these are quite soft, so it's fine for using on a day-to-day basis. It's got these very big wheels and modular wheels and tires on it, which is why it needed the slight lift. Mainly just for the looks. The interesting thing about it as well is that it has this proper spare reel carrier bolted onto the chassis, which is really essential, because if we don't have that, as many of us know from other vehicles, it always affects the hinges on the back door. So that's really good that it's got that. Tow bar fully working with electrics, brand new exhaust at the time of restoration. It's got a big exhaust actually, so it sounds really good with the 200 TDI engine, and it was repainted in its original color. There is a video on YouTube from the previous owner of the restoration. It's not a great video, but it flicks through all the different steps involved, so you can see that as evidence. And I've got a stack of receipts with this that I'm going to take you through shortly. Now, in terms of the provenance of the vehicle, so it's 1993, first of the 200 TDIs, which means it gets classic car insurance. I paid £260 a year for this, fully comprehensive, with a mileage limit of 5,000 miles. And the number plate won't come with the video, so that's my private number plate. It is a K registration. And then the other interesting thing about it is, this vehicle originally started life without rear windows, which means that it is eligible to be owned by a limited company and be tax-free, which is what I've actually done with my limited company. So it can be classified as a van in order for you know, tax efficiency purposes, if you have a limited company. So some other things about it: checker plate on the front, as you'll notice. It has these new grills and headlights around KBX. It has the spotlights at the top there, all fully working. So 4 sort of spotlights slash fog lights, whatever you want to call them. Inside, so 3 seats across the front, quite original. So original steering wheel, some upgrades on the dash because of some of the extra bits it's got. It has a CB radio, which I've never used, an aerial I've got in the garage that can go on the back for that. 5-speed. I've never used a low ratio, I'm ashamed to say, but yeah, I was intending to get into that sort of driving, but just didn't really. 3 seats. I've got the box from the middle in the garage. I put a third one on there because I've got 3 children, so 5 of us. Now in the back, I upgraded the seats when I bought it to these forward facing seats, which are in really good condition. They fold up and go to the side, and this is, you know, quite an expensive thing to do, but really important from a safety perspective if you're keeping children, taking children around in the back. Some other things about it, so all of the doors open and close as they should do, along with the fuel cap. It's got a sunroof, fully working, rear windows, sliders working perfectly as well. It is missing the headlining, so for whatever reason that wasn't put in when it was restored. So it doesn't have headlining, and it's got rubber mats but not carpets. What else? So what I'm going to do is point out a few of the flaws on the video, to save anybody any disappointment. So as I said, there are a few because, you know, it's not just been restored. It's kind of a, you know, 8 to 9 year old, 5,500 miles ago restoration. So let me look for the flaws. Right, along the bottoms of the doors, both of them, there is some very, very small bubbling there. If it doesn't sell, then I'll probably get those done. The doors are solid. That's just some, you know, very minor bits on the surface, and I'll take you around and show you the other door now. That's the worst bit of it. Now the other bits is on the back of the rear door. We've got a bit of the same, particularly around that hinge there. Wax there, but there is a little bit of that along the bottom of the rear door. The other imperfection in the paint, very minor ding there. Not sure if you can see that, right there. It would come out with like PDR dent man. And then the other thing is this here. So again, a little bit of surface bubbling along there. These flaps open, by the way, fully functional, open really well. So yeah, got that both sides. Again, if I keep it, if it doesn't sell, then I'll get those done. In terms of any other imperfections, it doesn't, oh right, oh yeah, maybe that tiny bit there. But generally, you know, it has been resprayed at the time of restoration, so it's pretty good. Yeah, just a little bit of, I don't know if that's got a trim missing along there. There should be some sort of rubber, but that's the other thing which notices. Inside, there are more gauges here than there are more switches than there are actually things to connect to them. So there are extra switches, and there are a couple of gauges, in particular the oil temperature one that has stopped working. The oil temperature and the RPM gauge don't work. I don't know if they're just for show or if they were ever connected. Everything else works, including the heating, which is nice actually. Blows out quite nicely once the engine gets to temperature, which is rare. Obviously that was restored at the time. And then this relates to the CB radio. It's got some extra bits and pieces. It's got a very fancy immobiliser, which if you're not used to it is not at all obvious how to start the vehicle. I'll show you. You have to put that one up and then turn the key and do that one at the same time, which is really unusual. So yeah, that's just the inside of it really. I mean, it's quite pleasant. It's all very sort of traditional early 90 Defender. And this is my house, so it's owned by my, well, registered to my limited company, so owned by me. But I'm doing a very comprehensive video because I don't really want loads of people coming and then for whatever reason not buying it. So there we go. I'm going to go around all of it now and do some underneath videos. Oh, it's just had an MOT, by the way, in December. And at that time it also had the clutch done. And passed the MOT, so that's all good. And that can give you a lot of reassurance that anything untoward would have been picked up at that time, only sort of 7 weeks ago. And that was done at a Land Rover specialist, a very reputable one, near to where we are. It's got these rock sliders on the side, by the way, which are quite nice, protect it and look quite nice. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it for a drive, show you how it drives. 5-speed, so all the gears working perfectly, new clutch, as I said, drives really nicely. And I'm also going to take you through what documentation the car comes with. Going to start it up, show it starts up okay. Bear with me. There we go. Had a new alternator when I first got it. So when I bought it from a garage called Wilton Motors. It's quite near here, Land Rover specialist. I went in there and I said, what's the best one you've got? And this was it. They gave me a 1-year warranty, and as part of that they replaced the alternator with a new one, because the belt kept coming off. Aside from that, it's been absolutely perfect, 100% reliable, apart from the clutch, so I had that done. And there is a very small evidence of some oil there. But it doesn't seem to lose any oil, so it must be a very, very tiny bit, but I just don't want anyone to be disappointed. But there is a tiny oil leak there. Wasn't picked up in the MOT. But it's a 200 TDI engine, and I believe this was, mostly rebuilt at the time of the restoration. I'll show you what receipts I've got with it. But it's certainly running absolutely sweet now, and when he did the restoration he replaced the speedo and put it back to 0. I've still got the original speedo as well, and you can see from the MOT history what mileage it had. I think it had around 130,000 when it was restored, and the guy who restored it, he said it had been in his family from new, and as I understand it from Wilton Motors, he sold it because of the ULEZ, so simply couldn't use it anymore without paying £12.50 every time he took it out of his garage. and also, you know, other life priorities, you know, children, life gets in the way, etc. So he passed it on to them, and then they sold it to me. Of a chip there like I missed before, just on the edge of the door, and whilst I'm here, I have these door locks replaced because I just found them so difficult to unlock, and frankly they're brand new ones now, but they're not brilliant either, so just bear that in mind. Fuel works fine with the lock. The back door, the lock works fine, a bit stiff, but fine on the lock. And then same on this side, you know, it's again a brand new door lock, but just really tricky and stiff to open sometimes. I think this is normal. And the other thing is, you may notice some of the rubbers, I mean they're new rubbers, right, but some of them might not be quite as they were from the factory, let's say. And then where these windows have been put in, they're brilliant and they're lovely and they work properly, but I'm not sure these are the original Land Rover ones, frankly. You'll notice that there's a few sort of extra fittings in them, but they've been done nicely and they're all straight and everything like that. They've got these sort of markings on them. That's for the aerial for the CB radio that I've got in the garage. And then, so yeah, same sort of thing on the rubbers for the door. And then just when you wind this up and down, it is very stiff as it gets down lower. Fine for the first sort of half to 2/3, and then it gets really stiff. So just want to be honest about that. The headlights are upgraded. They're these special LED headlights, and they're very bright, not like the original ones. So that's another benefit, another expensive upgrade. And then it's got the clear side lights on it as well. Windscreen wipers work fine, as does the windscreen washer, but it's developed a problem recently with this one coming too far down for some reason. So just something to be aware of. If I end up keeping this for another couple of months, then I'll get a service done and I'll get those wipers adjusted. And there's one warning light on the dash which relates to the handbrake. It just flickers a bit when you're driving. It's just a adjustment of a switch apparently, so I'll get those done at the next service if it hasn't sold by then. I'm going to give a demonstration now so you can see it driving. Got my son filming in the back. Okay. Reverse. There's lovely. First, and we can just have a little drive now, go through all the gears. We do have one light on the dash, which is the handbrake light, and I'll get that fixed before it goes to its new owner. Nice original steering wheel. The dash has had some upgrades, as you see. It does have various additions, including the thing here about the pitch and the roll. It has a special immobiliser. It has the light bar, up-to-date radio with Bluetooth connection, CD player, and also connected to your phone. It has several power points, including a couple of USBs, the standard cigarette lighter one. Now it does have some gauges that are not connected, including there's one extra one for the oil temperature there. That unfortunately doesn't seem to have actually been connected, but the turbo one definitely works. So I can drop that. Turbo one working, and it also has a working clock, a heated front windscreen, has the fan working, and all of the heater controls actually work really nicely, with the hot air blowing up through there once it gets up to speed. So you'll see the car drives very nicely, despite having the bigger tyres. It actually is quite wide on the road, not too much tyre noise. suspension, despite being uprated, is not too harsh, so it's very usable. We use it on a day-to-day basis and don't have any challenges with that. And it shifts nicely through the gears and drives just as it should do. Also has the sunroof working, which is very nice, and of course the windows winding at the front, a bit stiff if I'm honest, but they do wind up and down okay. And the back windows are sliding ones, they work fine, and the rear door is all working as it should do. It has the spare wheel held on a separate holder that bolts onto the chassis, so it doesn't have the challenges that many Land Rovers have with the back door with the weight of the wheel on it. So I'm just going to do one more acceleration as I come out of this village, and you can just see that the power. You can hear the turbo there, and the engine was all rebuilt when the vehicle was installed, so it's got good oil pressure, runs really nicely, just as it should do. Right, what I'm going to do is take you through the documentation that comes with the car. It is very extensive, starting off with this original Defender booklet. Lots of stuff here. Then what we've got is we've got the MOT certificate, and I think we've got most, if not all, of the MOT certificates throughout its life. Absolutely loads of them, which you can use to, you know, the old style ones as well, which back up the mileage. So it had its latest MOT at 4,500 miles. It's now showing 5,500. And that was reset at the time of the restoration. So when I got it, it was like 1,800 or something like that, and I've taken that up to about 5,500 now. And this was done on the 6th of December. What we've also got here is the bill from when I had that MOT done, and some service bits and things like that, and the clutch was done, and that came to 1,300 and something pounds. So that's the most recent work that was done to it. We've got the V5 document. We've got the receipt from when I bought it in February last year. Paid 19,000 for it. So I paid 19 last year, and then as just you saw, I spent 1,300 on it. So that's it gives you a clue of what I've spent on it. And then what we've got here is a load of documents from the previous owner. Absolutely loads in terms of receipts. Interesting, he's cut out the invoice name. I guess he's done that for his company or whatever. But new chassis, a gearbox truss number, grip blasting from a shop blasting place, handwritten notes of all the stuff that were done, bulkhead, there's yeah, bulkhead refurbishment and hot dip galvanizing. Tow bar, bumper stop polyurethane, I mean, you get the impression, right? There's a whole stack of paperwork here detailing all of the stuff that's been done on the car. So as I said, you know, full transparency there. You've got all the paperwork, second set of keys as well. All the paperwork that I got with it, and I'm not being greedy on the price. I'm taken quite a hit on it. I do appreciate we're in a recession, and I want to move it on. So so thank you for looking. Hope the car's of interest to you, and please feel free to drop me a line or give me a call to discuss further.